You've totally seen this happen, right? Some big, chaotic event goes down, and then like an hour later, it's this perfectly structured news story you're reading with your morning coffee. I mean, how does that even happen? How does chaos become clarity so fast? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and go inside the newsroom to show you exactly how a story is made.
Yeah, just picture it for a second. You've got sirens, flashing lights, total confusion on the street. It's just raw, unfiltered chaos. But somehow, that crazy moment gets turned into a calm, coherent, factual article. So the big question is, how? How does that become this? All right, let's dive in and break it down.
Okay, so the whole thing kicks off right where you'd expect, on the ground, at the scene of the event. And this is where we meet the first responder of the news world. You know, the person whose job it is to run towards the action, not away from it. And that person, well, that's the reporter. They're literally our eyes and ears on the ground. Their core job sounds simple, but it's absolutely crucial. Get to the scene, figure out what happened, and report those initial facts accurately. Every single story you read starts right here, with them. Now, you might think a reporter's job is just about writing, but it is so much more than that. I mean, think about their toolkit. Let's go back to that car crash example. They're not just standing there watching. No way. They're out there interviewing witnesses, grabbing details from the first responders, maybe even researching if that intersection has a history of accidents. They are gathering up all those raw materials that are going to become the first draft of the story. So, the reporter sends in their story, but believe me, it is far from finished. Now it travels from the street into the newsroom, and here it has to get past the gatekeepers, the people who are going to shape this raw information into the final narrative. Inside the newsroom, two key people take over. And honestly, the simplest way to get their roles is like this. The sub-editor's job is to perfect the story. The editor's job is to position it. So one is all about the tiny details, and the other is focused on the big picture. Perfect versus position. Got it? All right, let's dive a little deeper. The sub-editor, they're a master of detail. We're talking checking every single fact, fixing grammar, and writing that catchy headline that makes you want to click. Now the editor, they're making the big strategic calls. They're the ones asking, okay, is this car crash the most important thing that happened today? Does it deserve to be the front page story? That massive decision? That's on the editor. Okay, so we've met the key players, the reporter, the sub-editor, the editor. But what's guiding all their decisions? You know, it's not just a gut feeling. Nope. Everyone in this chain is operating under a really strict code of conduct, and it's built on what we call the 4 pillars of journalism. Think of these as the 4 fundamental principles that hold up all credible journalism. They're not negotiable. If even one of them starts to wobble, the whole thing, and our trust in it, can come crashing down. First up, pillar number 1, accuracy. And folks, this is the absolute bedrock of everything. Every name, every fact, every single number has to be double-checked, triple-checked, and confirmed with reliable sources before it ever sees the light of day. There is just zero room for error here. Next, pillar 2, the ability to research. This is what gives a story its depth and its context. It's the difference between just telling you what happened and helping you understand why it happened. So it's not just reporting that a crash happened, it's digging in to find out if that same intersection has had 10 other accidents this year. See? Research is what turns a simple event into a truly meaningful story. Number 3 is timeliness. And you gotta understand, news is a constant race against the clock. A story has to get from the scene to your screen before it becomes old news. That deadline they're always talking about, it's not just some suggestion. It's what ensures the information you're getting is actually current and relevant to what's happening right now. And finally, the 4th pillar, knowing your audience. This one's huge. Think about it. The way you'd write about that car crash for, say, a youth website is going to be totally different than how you'd write it for a serious business magazine, right? The language, the tone, the entire focus, it all has to be tailored to who you're talking to. Otherwise, the message just won't land. Okay, so we've met the people, we've walked through the principles, but what does this all actually mean for you? I mean, why should you care about this whole internal newsroom process? What's the big takeaway here? It matters, because this entire process, from that first reporter on the scene, all the way to the editor's final call, it isn't just a checklist or a workflow, it's a promise. It's a promise to you of quality, of clarity, and most importantly, a promise that the information you're getting is worthy of your trust. Look, we're living in a world of just endless information. And a lot of misinformation, too. In this environment, knowing how real news is made isn't just interesting trivia. It's an essential skill. It's your toolkit for separating fact from fiction. And that, right there, is what makes you a truly empowered, savvy consumer of news.